to introduce Jeremy. I know Jeremy for almost a year now. He was in the first ones to join our Passport Bros community on the Facebook, and he have amazing news he would like to share with us. Start, Jeremy. Introduce yourself and what you're doing and how we get into this Passport Bro. This is just a quick intro. We will have a full episode discuss about Jeremy story, and even not just one episode. We can have more episodes together.
Fantastic, man. Well, my name is Jeremy, and I am a licensed attorney practicing in Texas, and property attorney. And man, I met Mo about a year ago, and he was just so supportive of us. It was actually when I was kind of in the courtship phase. Is one of the things that's great about dating and marrying overseas is the traditional mindset that a lot of these women have, and he was just supportive 100%. So yeah, long story short, we eventually end up getting married. Actually, last week we got married last week, and well, I guess technically week before last, it was the end of the week, but yeah, and that's what I'm doing
that's
now.
amazing news. So you get married and you pass the bar. That's in just 1 month.
Well, yeah, and got sworn in at the right before we got married, so that way she could marry a licensed attorney, a sworn in attorney.
Okay. That's amazing news. That's amazing news. Congratulations, man. That's a very good way in getting into the next step. I mean, we'll have more discussion about the journey and how you get into marrying your Filipino wife and why you chooses the Philippines in general. I understand that you traveled there and you spent how many months did you spend in the Philippines before deciding to get into a kind of relationship, long-term relationship?
I was kind of familiar with the culture because I mean, I'll kind of just quick backstory. I went there in 2017. I was with a young lady. Things didn't quite go as I planned, but I went. I mean, I was all over Luzon, from Manila to Angeles, to up near Banawe. And I was just kind of traveling all around. Went to several different places. And so I had spent initially a month back then, so I was already fairly familiar with the culture, and then working with a lot of them, and because a lot of them are overseas foreign workers in the Middle East, and so I spent a lot of my life in the Middle East, around those types of people, and around a lot of Filipinos, and then so man, I just went back in 2022. And I went back
Okay.
between then and this past Christmas. That would be what, 4 times. I flew back and forth 4 times. From 2020, August of 2022, December of that year into January, and then May, and then the following Christmas into this past January of 2024. And then now we finally got married in April. So yeah, I flew there 4 times.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's one of the things I always advise anyone who would like to get overseas or get into new culture. He needs some time to adapt into the new mindset and the mentality. You need to understand the culture, the people. You just not just go there and start a relationship without understanding all the aspects. So it take you from 2017, and then you're going back and forth, and then you decided in 2022 to do something actually on the ground.
Yeah,
that's the proper
rubber
setup.
meets
That's
the
why.
road.
Yes, that's the proper setup. I mean, anyone who especially was born in the West, the US, UK, EU, on Canada, and then he just flew to the West, and then he will be able to integrate and understand everything in a couple of months. It will not happen. It will take some time until your mindset to adjust it. And now you are helping others because you have done it properly on a proper way. You got your license as attorney in the US and Texas. And you would like to help others, would like to build a bridge between the east and west, and you can do business, you can apply for immigration and many things. And this is one of the things that we will discuss actually in our full episode that will be coming very soon.
Of course.
So, what's your general advice to anyone who just starting the journey or like the idea? I don't want to be. I would like to get a relationship from someone outside. It's a very, you can say, it's a very exotic idea. But what kind of advice that you can give, especially to the young people, because you have done it yourself, to start with?
I mean, I would say find like, I mean, pretty much in the global south, if you're looking for like a traditional woman, almost anywhere in the global south, not everywhere will work. But I mean, you gotta, like, you can't just consider the culture. You also gotta kind of consider the economics, right? Like, I mean, if you're looking at moving there full time, then obviously you're gonna want to. I mean, you're gonna want to have some kind of stability. A lot of places may not have, 24-hour electricity, or it may not be electricity at all in the area, right? So you got to consider that. Do I really need electricity? If so, how much? Right? I mean, you also have to consider the cost of like regular utilities like water. Like, I mean, how am I going to get water? Is it coming through the city water? Is it clean to drink? Do I need to invest in some kind of filtration? Can I get it locally? Do I got to bring it in a shipping container from the west? So, I mean, I would say it's just the basic bare minimum economic considerations is the first thing, because I mean, you can't have a family and survive with a family, if that's what you're looking for, if you can't even keep the basic utilities on. So I would say that, then obviously that kind of dovetails into the culture. you know I mean, how malleable are you? Like, do you have to have a hot water and an iPhone, or can you just get by with whatever you got, right? Like, you got to take into all those things into consideration. They're
Yeah,
they're going even though the woman can speak English, if you go to an English speaking country, um, it's going you're going to have some cultural issues, whether it be the way that you or your wife or the woman pronounces the words, or the type of food, the texture of the food. um I mean, how you interact with one another, minute, like, it's going there will be there I still find that there are some cultural issues that me and my wife deal with. They're small and they're few and far in between, but they still do exist. So, I mean, you gotta be
yeah,
able to be
definitely,
flexible.
definitely, totally agree. Yeah, yeah, definitely agree. What kind of legal risk you have to take? I mean, some people just get into the marriage, they sign the contract, we are legally marriage. Now, what kind of legal issues that you need to be ready before thinking about signing the marriage agreement, or getting into a relationship legally?
So, without being a family law attorney in the global South, I would say, just some very prudent legal areas to look out for is to understand. Well, I mean, first off, you know, I would say look at it like any other situation, right? Like, you dig the well before you need it. It's easier to invest in a pound of ounce of prevention than a pound of cure. So, just make sure you know the woman that you're getting with. That's the simple
Yes,
answer.
I
And
mean,
then
yes.
and
Yeah,
then you'll
knowing some of
understand
the
what
rules, the local rules. I mean, some of the
yeah.
marriage rules in different countries are very complex. I mean, people assume, especially from the US, that everything in the US is the
and,
same
and you
everywhere.
got to
No.
understand that. Like, do some research. Oh, okay, I'm interested in this country. Is divorce even legal in this country? It probably is. I think the only country it's not legal in is the Philippines. uh is it fault based, or no fault, the way it is in the United States, right? Like, what's the burden of proof? And something that's interesting in the Philippines is that, as far as I know, they can't get divorced even if they come overseas, unless, and the way that the courts recognize it is if the foreign citizen initiates the divorce. right?
Ah, understand.
So kind of understand. I would say, I mean, understand how they look at marriage and how it's defined in, I guess, whatever statute or jurisdiction you're in, and then understand what the risks are and how it's initiated and how, I mean, because you might decide, man, I don't want to go and live in that other country. Maybe we want to live in a third country that respects family, and
Yeah,
doesn't
understand. Yeah.
participate. So it just depends.
That's another option. So, and also one of the things I always advise the community is just how to protect your assets. It's not
Uh-huh.
protecting the assets that the other party could harm you or take the assets, but this is your own money and you have to protect it because the rules and regulations are very different from state to state or even from country to country. So you have to understand it. You have to build a backup plan and always be cautious for what you're doing. I mean, whatever person for years or months, you just need to protect what you already have. That's my advice for anyone.
And I would go even further to say, prenuptial agreements aren't to protect, or aren't because you don't trust a woman. It's because you shouldn't trust the government. That's what that would be my advice. I wouldn't,
Yes, yeah,
insofar as
that's
the
one of the
United
things that I
States.
always. Yes, it just. I mean, my mojo is build your kingdom, build your. I mean, you don't have to. It's not just about the building trust with government, but you will be your own government, you will be your own kingdom, and
Right.
you will have the rules and regulations from different places, and then you can use it for your own goal. Okay, that's all. We're almost 12 minutes now. We just This is a quick brief introduction. We have a lot of things to discuss further. We will have more episodes with Jeremy, and he will share his journey, his experience, and we will have a lot of things to do. Thanks so much, Jeremy, for joining. That's amazing, and